I'm standing at the top end of what is Queen Street. Behind me here is Coggeshall Church, St Peter's Church, and down the side here are some almshouses. Back in the 1800s, this was a scene of quite a horrendous fire. Imagine you turn up here, there's a kerfuffle, there's a big fire, and you want to help. The fire engine is turned up, and you and some other people all get together. You want to do what you can, and this is a time when sometimes trying to help can be the very wrong thing to do. According to Trevor Disley's book, Fires, Firemen and Other Mishaps, in May 1855, one of Coggeshall's most destructive fires broke out in Back Lane behind the Woolpack. At that time, a stable and a row of cottages stood at the top of Back Lane, opposite the almshouses, which survive to this day. At 10:45 on that Saturday night, the alarm of fire resounded through the streets, and several hundreds of people turned out to see what was going on. The fire had started in the stable at the rear of the inn. This was timber built with tarred weatherboarding and contained a store of straw and wood. The whole of the stabling was quickly one mass of flame. Next to the stable, the first cottage was occupied by John Goodson and his family. They were asleep in bed and unaware of the fire until the flames burst through their bedroom wall, which, it was reported, left them considerably surprised. They escaped still in their night clothes. Their lath and plaster cottage rapidly went up in flames. In the meantime, the fire engine had arrived with Daniel Leaper. He made his way through the crowds to the fire and left the engineer to set into the water supply, possibly St Peter's Well. At this point, helpers tried to move the heavy engine into position by pulling on the hard suction hose, which was a fatal move because the hose split. With the suction out of action, water had to be poured directly into the engine cistern using only buckets, and it did not work well, as the pumpers had to work very slowly so as not to outrun the water supply. Fire was some distance away, and only a thin jet of water emerged from the branch. Quite lost in the inferno of the fire, with this very scanty water supply, the next two cottages, occupied by Haywood and Humphreys, were threatened, and Leaper had the roofs pulled off to check the raging element. This, and the continuing work of the crowd throwing buckets of water on the buildings, eventually proved successful. And in the early hours of the morning, the fire was finally subdued. Of the three cottages, one was destroyed, and the others severely damaged by fire, water, and demolition. The cottages that were here, this side of this lane, this is Queen Street. It used to be Back Lane. They're all demolished now as a result of the fire that was here. As you can tell now by the story, that trying to tug that fire pump by the suction hose was the wrong thing to do. Had that fire pump not been damaged during this event, those cottages could very well still be standing, and the stables that were on the back of the Woolpack could still be there to make a more complete building structure. But there we go. That's what happened at this end, and that's how there's great massive gaps in between the church and the Woolpack. As we know, there were cottages with along here. They were all pulled down, but the ones this side, I would imagine something akin to what we've seen in Coggeshall already. Maybe not this style. That's a little story to fill in the gaps, as it were. It's great to be out in the open and out by the church and pursuing a little bit more of history. And before we finish off, there it is. Church and the church clock. That's something I'd like to explore at some point. The church clock. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. As always, I'll put it down here, and if you're not subscribed, please do so and give it a thumbs up. I will see you in another video, which hopefully will be next week. Next week I'm doing another trip to London. Whether that will be next week's video or not at this stage, I don't know. But hopefully see you next week. Stay safe.